Good morning, everyone. Almost afternoon. Sorry for the late um, showing of this talk. I normally do it earlier. It's been a busy morning. So I wanted to do a part two of today on the exercise component we discussed last week. And so I wonder if any of you had any thoughts. Again, this is Dr. Antonio with Still Point Ayurveda here in Philadelphia. And, some interesting conversations have come up since the last talk around exercise. So I wonder if anyone today in this moment has any specific questions. I'll watch those questions in the comment section. So what I wanted to add on to last week as far as exercise is concerned is that as I discussed like the proper times in general, it's important to note that exercise done properly, according to Ayurveda, can definitely allow an individual to experience optimal immunity or a really good factor towards really strong immunity. But also, exercise done improperly or not done at all can cause a negative influence on immunity. And so it's finding the right kind of exercise for the right person at the right time of day, especially, right time of life. Those are factors that we consider in Ayurveda very important. As I mentioned last week, that there's a general consideration that exercise should be done first, most optimally before 10 a.m. and between 6 and 10 a.m. in the morning. Then next best time would be in between meals, and then no later than before sunset. Not after sunset, not right before bed. And as I mentioned last week, the negative reasons or negative effects of exercising at nighttime, which would include increasing of dryness, inflammation, other neurological irritations. Some other factors to consider as far as appropriate times for exercise. Never exercise when you're actually supposed to have a meal. So if you're going to have breakfast during the regular breakfast time, have the exercise practice before that time, at least an hour, hour and a half, or at least an hour and a half after exercise, and especially depending on the exercise. Exercise should not replace the lunchtime. So again, if you're going to exercise at say 10:30, 11, 12, then your lunch should be most likely at 1:30. Now, one thing I want to say about this is that it's not uncommon during the summertime that people want to exercise during lunchtime and or skip meals, especially lunchtime, which is not ideal or recommended to skip a meal for exercise. Remember the input-output relationship as far as health and how much energy you're putting out and how much energy you're putting in. And if you're adequately digesting the information that comes through food that supplies nutrition to the cellular structure of the body, that builds the organs, the tissues, everything like that. Something else is that outdoor activities during the peak sun time of the day, running outside in broad daylight under 90 degrees, 100 degrees, personally, when I see that, it's just kind of outrageous that a person's drenching with sweat during lunchtime in broad daylight under direct sun. And this directly, according to the classic, states that there's a depletion that's going to happen. So there might be a sense of like, this feels great. I really enjoy a good sweat. Now, Ayurveda also defines very clearly through specific signs called lakshanas what the appropriate amount of sweat is. In general, the appropriate amount of sweat consists of light sweat on the brow, a little bit in the center of the chest, slightly in the armpits, possibly the groin area, more, and between the shoulder blades. Now, the drenching sweat is not ideal, especially for certain individuals that are more predominant towards not having enough tissues in their body, not enough density in their body, not enough strength in their body. It also depends on age. There's a lot of different factors, and we have to be careful of over sweating because it really does come from a much deeper place in the body, not just the skin, but there's an operating mechanism underneath in the physiology that directs the sweat components through the skin as a means of releasing. Sweat is also for thermoregulation, but also a general sort of releasing of things that are embedded in the system, like toxins that people call toxins. We won't talk about the word toxins today, but we'll just use that term loosely just to get the basic point across. And so exercising excessively, causing extreme sweating and intensity and pushing past your max is all contraindicated in Ayurveda. It's finding the right line where you're matching the edge to discomfort and comfort. I've talked about this before. As far as yoga practice, there's a term called sthira and sukham, which means coming to the edge where you're just about to push it and cause discomfort, and finding that slight comfort where it's like, okay, this is not too bad. You're finding your threshold, not pushing past that. Ayurveda and yoga do not subscribe to the idea of no pain, no gain. That's just more of the ego involvement, which causes more harm long term. And I've seen many patients that are coming in with other sort of conditions like inflammation and things like that, joint issues or sleep issues, constipation, skin issues, and a lot of it comes back to reversing the cause, understanding what the cause is to begin with, which is running during lunchtime, excessively sweating, depletion, overly sweating, things like that. And so it's really important to consider, what is your body doing? What is it requiring in that moment? And is it a mental push that's great for discipline? We do need some level of discipline, of course. But going to the extreme with it is not ideal, because that eventually causes harm to the body and long term. Also noticing if the body is experiencing a sense of lightness after the exercise, an increase in appetite, an increase of thirst. Is there some moderate sweating going on? There's a lot of different factors that will indicate whether it's under exercise, over exercise, or the proper exercise, and you want to find that out for yourself. But I wanted to really mention and emphasize that exercise during a meal time, exercising with a meal in your stomach, is very contraindicated. Allowing your body to have some time to process the food, ample time, as I mentioned in last week's talk, before you engage in some physical activity. Because getting the right amount at the right time for the right person is sort of like the Rubik's Cube. It's just finding the right configuration for you that's optimal. There isn't a certain understanding of like everyone must do this, because Ayurveda does not subscribe to this idea of one size fits all. It's about the individual and how to honor where they're at, support them where they're at, and allow for the factors that contribute towards optimal health for long term, not just short term. In Ayurveda, we're looking at short term and long term, because what we do in the short term will contribute towards the long term. So there's this relationship of cause and effect, and I've mentioned it in a lot of my talks, called Karya Karana. And so when you're looking at your health and you're looking at your immunity, and we're considering, as the topic these past 2 weeks of exercise, am I exercising properly? Am I exercising too much? Am I under exercising? Am I exercising at the wrong times? And what does this all look like? There is a thing as overkill. You don't want to overkill the body with so much exercise, from biking to cycling, to swimming to CrossFit, like all in a day. These should be spread out properly over the course of the week. In the past, I wrote another article talking about the importance of physical fitness, exercise, yoga, and even massage therapy as a tripod that contributes towards health and well-being. Yoga is amazing for supporting the body in a way where no other exercise practice can reach the same nooks and crannies of the body like yoga can. So having yoga, and the right yoga for the right person, which should be supervised by an authority or a person with extreme amount of experience in the yoga therapy field or in the yoga field, to understand various factors that include what's important for you and what's needed for your body, allowing it to be part of a holistic plan of wellness that can be utilized properly. And so yoga and massage go hand in hand. Yoga and physical fitness go hand in hand. Massage therapy allows you to be passive, receiving, and allowing a practitioner to work on the body, to opening it up in ways that makes it easier for when you are doing yoga and for when you are doing some other physical regimen. And so it becomes very complementary. All three are very amazing. And I've seen personally, and I've seen amongst my patients, and I've seen amongst some of the research, that the combination of all three is really amazing for health and well-being. And in doing it all properly, will increase immunity. And of course we add in the component of food, because without food there is no body. We can't bypass, proper eating habits and proper eating components for just physical regimens and or just supplements. That's, it's not uncommon in the gym world that a lot of trainers are suggesting smoothies with this and smoothies with that. And that's a really slippery slope as far as smoothies are concerned, which is a whole other discussion if anyone's interested in me doing a talk on smoothies. But in general, smoothies are not ideal. But, for now, we'll leave that in as far as this topic is concerned. I'm more concerned and considerate of actual food that you have to chew. That's why you have teeth. And what that food looks like as far as your menu, your personalized menu that is adapted to you, that is adapted to the season, that is adapted to the time of life, etc. And this all configures in the Rubik's Cube to really allow for more optimization of health and well-being. So hydrating, that's another component to exercise that is very common. And again, Ayurveda very meticulously looks at anything that has the capacity to be considered like a food, so it's a lickable and chewable and eatable and drinkable, as something that is consumed. So when you're exercising, except for water or some really light beverage that has an accent of like a squeeze of lemon or a squeeze of lime or a squeeze of like ginger or a squeeze of just sea salt, maybe a little bit of like diluted juice, possibly. Anything other than that is going to be too much to indulge in while you're exercising, because again, if your body detects anything that it has to digest, and you wouldn't think that liquids have to be digested, but of course they do, because anything that goes in the mouth has its own properties that the digestive system has to assess and determine where it goes and how to extract. I mean, urinating and things like that, these are byproducts of digestion. So we want to consider what we're doing when we're exercising. Even in a yoga class, some people come to class with smoothies. Some yoga studios prohibit anything but water, which is great, or hot water, which is great. So mindful of when you're hydrating during the exercise and what that hydration component looks like. If it's a smoothie, it's not really hydrating. It's not really sipping whey protein while you're pumping the weights. That's just not, that's contraindicated. As I mentioned last week, you have to digest the smoothie. So on a microcellular level, that whey protein or pea protein or synthetic protein has to be broken down in the digestive canal. And so giving it that work while we're working out is creating this contradictory, antagonistic, and I read it's called Varudahara, antagonistic effect that you're ingesting something and you're exercising. You're creating, in essence, malabsorption or indigestion, in spite of the fact that you might be working very hard. And it also will have a tendency towards inflammation, because now you're creating, the body's opposing each other, creating a friction. And if I keep rubbing like this, it's going to create a certain level of irritation, and that's happening on a different level. So I wanted to ask if there are any other questions, and I'm going to end on this note as far as exercise is concerned. And if you would like to find me or private message me, you can find me at www.stillpointayurveda.com. I will send a link in the comment section. And if you're curious about that exercise and massage and yoga article that I wrote a while ago, feel free to private message me and then I can send it to you. And if you're interested in working with me, I do have openings for new clients. I'm always open to taking new clients, and I love working with new clients. It's an exciting adventure to be on and journey. And I hope you lots of wellness and well-being and contentment and immunity and strength and vitality and inspiration and good digestion, good sleep, just daily joy. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be here of service to all of you as part of the community. Have a good day.